announcement. This video tutorial will show you how to install CodeBlocks. CodeBlocks is called an Integrated Development Environment, IDE. It supports C, C++, and Fortran. Right. This semester, we'll be working with C in our class, and all our tutorials will be about the C language. But we're going to use this. Let me go ahead and download this, and we'll talk about why we're going to use it while it's downloading. So here I am at codeblocks.org. That's the website, codeblocks.org. Right, you can click on Downloads. And CodeBlocks works really well for Windows, and it works for Linux. It doesn't work if you're using a Mac, so if you're using Mac OS X, do not install this. Right, we're going to install today on Windows. We're clicking on Download the binary release. Right, even though it lists something for Mac OS X, if you go down there, it's going to tell you it doesn't work well. All right, we're going to install today for Windows. As you can see, I'm going to click here. It works on a variety of the Windows operating systems. So this should work on your Windows computer. Notice we have lots of different files we can choose from. We want to choose this one, mingw-setup.exe. We want to install the file that has the GCC compiler. So let's look at this note down here. This particular file, mingw-setup.exe, includes additionally the GCC /G++ compiler. Right, so this is the C, this is the C++ compiler. You will need to make sure these are installed. Most of you won't already have a compiler installed on your computer. Right, and we also want the GDB debugger that we'll use later in this course. So as I said, make sure you get the mingw setup file, exe. So I'm going to click on sourceforge.net to start the download. Right. It's going to take probably about a minute to download here. Once it starts, we can see in my Chrome browser down here, it is downloading. All right, so like I said, this will be very handy. You will write C programs according to the rules of the C language, and you'll write something called source code. Anytime you write a program, it's called source code. Right? And after you write that source code, you have to translate it into something that your computer knows how to execute. And so you need a compiler. A compiler takes what looks like more like English, the high-level C language, and translates that over to a form that your machine can understand. Right? So you're going to need those sets of tools to create what's called an executable program. Those are the programs that run. Right? We want our program to run. All right. So you can see this is finished downloading. I'm going to double-click on it to install it. All right. It asks me if I want to allow changes. So if I want the following program to allow changes, yes, I do. Right. And it's going to install fairly quickly. I'm going to click on Next. I'm going to click on I agree for the license. I'm going to use the default installation. Notice it has checked the mingw compiler suite. I need that, so click on Next. Use the default destination folder, right? Unless you really know what you're doing, you don't want to install this somewhere else in order to get everything to link correctly. So use that path, click on Install. This will go pretty quickly, maybe take about a minute. Right. Once it's finished, we're going to open up CodeBlocks and create a working C program. Right. We want to make sure that after this installs, that it's able to find all its tools and everything to build and run a program. That will be a fairly quick process because it will actually write a program for us. All right, so it's finished. It says, do I want to run CodeBlocks now? I'm going to say yes, so it will open up the program. Click Next here, finish here while CodeBlocks is opening up. All right, so now we're ready to start making our first C program. And whenever we work in CodeBlocks, we want to work in a project environment in order to take advantage of all the tools it offers. So we'll click on Create a New Project, and we're going to create what's called a console application. We'll click on that, console application, click on Go. Right, make sure you choose the C language in the choices here, click on Next. Project title, right, start it with letters of the alphabet, try to avoid spaces, extra characters. I'm just going to call this Hello, right, because our first default program is Hello World. It, by default, will save it here on my desktop. It'll create a folder there named Hello. Whatever I name the project, it'll create a folder of that name. That's fine for this example. If you want to save it somewhere else, right, you can click on these three dots and navigate to the location where you want to save it. Just going to click on Next here. Right, it has already detected my compiler, the GNU GCC compiler. When you first start CodeBlocks, you probably didn't have anything installed. It'll probably come up and ask you which compiler, but it will be pointing at this one. So make sure you have the GNU GCC compiler. Right, I want to make sure that I at least have my debug configuration. It's okay if release is checked. Right, I'm going to click on finish. And when it finishes, right, it doesn't really look like I have much. It kind of looks like blank real estate there on the screen. But over here in my project tab, notice this is the name of my project, hello. This little symbol means it's a CodeBlocks project. And then there's a little subfolder called sources. If I click on the plus sign, we can see that there's a file called main.c. I'm going to double click that. This is our program source code. So all C programming files end in the extension .c. It created a basic program which will display the message hello world on the screen. Right? It'll display whatever's in these double quotes. I won't talk about the syntax here. We simply want to make sure that our tools are installed correctly to build and run. I'm going to go here to this menu, build, and I'm going to select build and run. Right down here, we got some messages that flew by really quickly as it was building. Right. And what it did was then it popped up this window. So this is a console window or console terminal. So our output from our C program, because we chose a console application, is here to this terminal. And what it did is it displayed the message hello world from this program it wrote. We were successful because what we wanted to do simply was to make sure that the build and run process worked. That means that everything got installed correctly in its directories and it could find all the programs it needs to build and run our other programs that we'll be writing later. All right, press any key to continue. I could simply close this, or I could press a key. When I do that, it closes. All right, we're all done with CodeBlocks. I could just close down that environment, and that is the end of this video. So hopefully you got CodeBlocks installed correctly and working for you. If not, pay attention to any error messages you got. If you have trouble detecting the compiler, you can Google and find out how to do that, or you can ask your instructor or TA.